Niranjan, what opportunities transformed your life and made you successful, and how were you able to see them?
I think over a period of time, life brings you lots of opportunities. The question is, how do you take them? Because they're always new, they're always challenging, they're always fearful in view of the fact that you don't know where you're going because they are new to you. But the answer is really to take up those opportunities which you think you can do in the long run, but probably are difficult in the short run. So you start with one step at a time and then make your way for the purposes of doing these things. So obviously, when being the first generation businessman, I started small, fearful and difficult. But you took one step at a time, and over a period of time, as you took the steps, you fell down, you had difficulties, you had problems, but you keep on making your way. And over a period of time, that becomes the path of your life.
What allowed you to see such a risky opportunity?
See, every opportunity, you're only looking at the big one called Hiranandani Gardens.
Yes.
But even the small ones are difficult. So when you took up initially, the small ones are also equally difficult, because for me, they were humongous. So even if I took up one apartment building, which I did in Versova, and then second and third and fourth, I did 11 of them. Each time when I took the next building, it was a kind of an adventure that was there. There was no capital. The construction ideas were not there in terms of doing it. But we always were able to benchmark ourselves with the best and not with the average. So when we always looked up to see how can I do it better, what is it that I can do differently, I think that is what made my way today to being closer to making an excellent products, whether it's Hiranandani Gardens, Hiranandani Estates, Thane, or any other project that we do.
On that subject, you did things differently from others in your community and your industry. What gave you the conviction to break the rules of the game, and how did you do that?
Fortunately for me, I was brought up by my father in Malabar Hill, which is one of the iconic locations in Mumbai, which had excellent buildings, excellent schools, excellent hospitals. All the infrastructure was very good. My thought process was always that when I make a project, Hiranandani Gardens for instance, the building should be better than the building I stay in. The garden, hanging gardens, my gardens in Powai should be better than hanging gardens in Kamala Nehru Park. My school, Campion School, my school which I built here should be better than my school, Alma Mater, Campion School. The facilities around the area should be better than what I have in South Mumbai. The entertainment should be better, the restaurant should be better, the commercial offices should be better than South Mumbai. So we benchmark ourselves to say that the minimum benchmark was what I was brought up in life, and the rest was moving upwards. So I think when I benchmarked something which was the best at that point of time in Mumbai, I could only go upwards, because that's where I said this is my minimum benchmark. Of course, I lost a lot of money in the beginning because nobody thought that I would make a quality product. So obviously they didn't pay me as much as I should have been paid for the money that I spent. But later on, people realized that, we make quality products and were willing to pay higher prices for it. But in the beginning, I did suffer in terms of actually spending more and earning very little.
That's interesting, because I once took a real estate course and they taught me that the three most important things in real estate were location, location, location. You, on the other hand, started out with a terrible location, yet made it a success. What gave you the conviction to break the rules that way and do it that way?
Yeah, so the answer to that is very simple. We couldn't afford to buy a location. We didn't have the money to buy a location, so we bought a location which was not as strong. But the end of this whole story is that you created a location. So instead of buying a location which was expensive, I created a location which I bought an comparatively inexpensive project, but at the end of the day, created a product which was super excellent. So the location became a prized animal. So I actually created a location, and then other people benefited, those who built buildings around me, because I'd created a location.
But the location, Powai, is very intimately associated with Hiranandani now.
So now what has happened is everywhere we go, good people follow me. So they also create good products because they know that we will create good products. So it's nice to see that other people are also creating competitively good products around the place. So lots of people around this area try to emulate our example and copy good products. So it's a good thing that the entire environment in this area is improved. The same thing is happening in Thane and now in Panvel too.
So you're creating better communities?
Absolutely.
Other builders, in fact all other builders, sell amenities, and you're one of the few that sells communities. What is the rationale behind that?
It's like moving on the plane. If you don't have food, you need food. When you have adequate food, you need quality food. I've moved to the next level. Amenities are taken for granted. It's a given. People don't think that when they come to Hiranandani, will they get the amenities? That's a taken. Now I have to move to the next level, which is build the communities. So it's like not being good, not being better, but being the best. You've already elevated your position by improving yourself in terms of your product, your amenities, and then making a community. So it's just moving up the value chain.
Did you take advantage of changes in your environment? For example, what changed in the Indian environment in the 80s and 90s that created opportunities that you took advantage of?
Always we are a product of the environment. But the answer is not to take the environment for granted, but to say how you can use that environment to be even better. So if there was no accessibility, we created accessibility, but then when the accessibility further improved in the area, that benefited us. So it's a mutual relationship that you work with in terms of infrastructure of the area and amenities of the area, distinguished from the amenities that you have created. So it's incestuous relationship that is there between the environment of relationships or environment of creation of amenities and your own creativity that you do. So other people benefit, but you also benefit from the infrastructure created.
In other words, you also had to influence the environment so you could build the community?
Yes, and other people in the area also benefit by that. So many people who meet me outside and they say, you know, we stay in Powai and you know we are in your complex every day, either in the morning to take a walk or in the evening to do shopping or in that or enjoy our life and quality of life there. So it's not only about our business of construction and development, but also influencing the positivity in the environment.
What is the mindset that denies people opportunity?
I think it's lack of wanting to take steps on the opportunity. If somebody just waits for opportunities to come, it never comes. If you're looking for opportunities, you can always see some opportunity. And then if you see the opportunity, then it's a question of about taking the first step in order to work on those opportunities. But if you don't look for an opportunity, it's not there, because then you sit down and say, I don't have the opportunity. Where is the opportunity? But if you just have to look around you yourself, India is full of opportunities.
Many people are fearful to take up opportunities. You didn't come from a family of entrepreneurs. So what gave you the conviction to take up the opportunities that you did?
Well, it's difficult to say what brings fire to the belly, but it's not only about entrepreneurs. It's about professionals too. People who work in my company from the lowest to the highest level have a different extent to which they have fire in the belly. So two people may be equivalent qualifications or equivalent IQs, but if they have fire in the belly, the achievement of A versus B is quite different, and you will see that the person who has fire in the belly will always superachieve as compared to this in the long run. In the short run, it doesn't matter.
How crucial is it to have a process-driven approach to evaluating opportunities? And How process driven have you been?
See, the stakes are higher. So obviously there is a process, a bigger process now than earlier, because the numbers and thoughts process could be filtered in your mind. You now need much more calculation and working in order to understand the projects and the downfalls and the process and the SWOT analysis that you need to do in order to take projects. So obviously, since the sizes were small, it was easier to take those decisions without much analysis. Today, you have to be much more analytical, much more studied in order to make correct decisions.
Do you think you would have benefited 20 years ago if you had the same sort of process you have now to evaluate opportunities?
Of course. Every learning is a learning, and every learning helps you to know it. And in hindsight, there are everywhere I could have done better, but that's hindsight, and I think I have no regrets either. But the point is very simple. How do you actually see to it that you learn from the earlier mistakes, so that it's not about not making mistakes, but it's of not making the same mistakes again and again. And I think that is more important. That is where I think experience comes to play, and you don't, as far as possible, repeat the mistakes again and again. So your tendency to make less mistakes is not because you don't make mistakes, but it's just that the experience teaches you where the mistakes will happen if you don't do the right processes or path.
How do you ensure that not only you are learning from your mistakes, but that everyone in your organization is learning from their mistakes in order to create a better opportunity process?
Richard, I think it's a continuous learning process. I don't think we ever have reached where we want to, because the benchmark keeps changing every day, the competition keeps increasing, the difficulties of the environment keep changing from time to time. So the challenges will always be new. So learning is every day, and anybody who isn't learning will lose his position in 6-12 months. So learning is so fast and quick, and need to adapt ourselves.
Based on your vast experience, what other lessons can you offer to aspiring opportunity seekers?
First of all, we all have to work hard if you want success. I don't think anybody gets success without working hard. I think you have to have some fire in the belly of wanting to be aspirational. It's not that you should not be content, but you should be aspirational. You must have the fire in the belly and still happy with what the present is, but always look forward to create new ideas, new thoughts, and work on it. Have mentors who will teach you what are the things to do. Look for mentors, look for people who have done good benchmarks for yourself. If you find a difficult path for achieving something, start with the first step today, because once you put in your first step, you automatically move in that path. Of course, you're going to fall down. Remember, you have to get up again and move on. You can't expect to get accolades every day. Sometimes you're going to be victimized, sometimes you're going to be beaten up, somebody is going to be critical of you. And the higher you grow, the more the critiques you have in life. So don't look for external praises all the time. It's not going to happen ever, not to anybody in the world. And I think a passion, love. Many people say, I like my work. I think they are doomed to failure. You got to love your work. You can't possibly just like your work and live life. I don't think you can do that. If you really want to be committed to your work, you have to love it. And if you love your work, you're never tired because you love it. And I think if you put all these things and thoughts together, it's a total package for success.
Every company wants more profit, and every person needs more money and wants more money, but nobody gets more money because they're needy or greedy. Besides money, what drives you and hence can drive other opportunity seekers?
When we had no money, obviously the drive was for money only. To say anything else would have been a lie. But once you've achieved some amount of money, there is no end to the money that you need, because it's in the head. I mean, I want to be a Mukesh Ambani tomorrow. There can be no end. Mr. Mukesh Ambani may want to be a Bill Gates or somebody like that. So I think that aspirational goal is ridiculous, and we need to do what we need to do. So while you work towards growth in terms of monetary values, because that's part of the business team that you do, but if that becomes the monetary valuation of you becomes the only aspiration in life, your life is worthless. It has to have a meaning far beyond the value of just money valuation that you do. So you have to have happiness in the product you create, the people you work with, the looking after the stakeholders who are working with you, giving back to society, looking after your family, of course, but not only looking after the family, but looking after the environment of people who work with you, deal with you, buy from you, in life with you. So I think after you have done your minimum earning, the second is very, very important. And once you get into that trip, money, which is important, is actually not. It doesn't have as much meaning, it is. But the benchmark of business is money. So you have to work towards that. But that is also to be worked towards and not to be worked around only.
The benchmark is money, but nobody gives you money to make you rich. They give you money because of the service you provide. Isn't that correct?
Money cannot be the only benchmark of success in life, and will never be. And contentment, happiness, satisfaction cannot be because you have earned an X amount of money. It's not possible, and it doesn't work that way. But yes, in the beginning of life, yes. So I mean, to devalue the fact that you work for money would be a total lie. And and when people say we have to work hard for money and they are starting life, answer is yes. But after you have reached your minimum, money is important, but really not important.